Hi, my name is Jacob Monk. Welcome to a little video about how USA plans to destroy Europe. How is USA trying to destroy Europe? Well, maybe I should start with answering the question, why does USA want to destroy Europe? Well, in Second World War and in First World War, Europe was destroyed, and therefore USA has been the leading economy in the Western world, well, probably in the whole world until now. We are so lucky. This is going to change. China is the future, I hope, but USA is trying to get a new momentum in their economy, and they don't like competition. And Europe is a big competitor, especially Germany is a big competitor. So therefore USA is trying to destroy Europe. And I'll mention here the 5 methods Americans are using. Of course, the basic tool is the prostitute politicians in the European countries. In Denmark, we have the whole parliament filled of prostitutes, political prostitutes. In other countries, it is not the whole parliament, it's only a part, but often it's the leading part, the majority of the politicians in Poland, in Germany, Hungary, France, Italy, and so on and so forth. In Denmark, unfortunately, all politicians are paid assets of the American foreign minister and the American Foreign Ministry, and they are trying to fulfill the American dreams. And here you will hear the 5 dreams that Americans are trying to fulfill when it is about Europe. First, the old method of making divisions and conflict in Europe, they are not effective anymore. Russophobia is the basic method, the idea that all Russians are dangerous and Russia is trying to conquer Europe. It is a foundational idea of US polity, and therefore they are trying to export this worldview to Europe, and they have had quite a lot of success. That is the basic of NATO, of course. But today, Donald Trump has said that he's not supporting NATO unconditionally. He only supports NATO under certain circumstances. So therefore, NATO is weakened, and Europe has to find its own way, its own policy, and to unite the European countries. The American culture, the American modern culture, consists of pornography, LGBT gay movement, and all kind of perversities. They are transferred to Europe via the Hollywood movies, the Hollywood culture, American television programs, and American politicians. Well, they know that the more decadent, the more immoral the worldview in Europe is, the weaker the spirit of Europe will be, and the more easy it will be to use use Europe as a tool against Russia, because the basic American idea is to start a third world war, not between USA and somebody, but between Europe and Russia. That's why America wants to take away the atomic weapons treaty that say that middle distance weapons, they are not allowed in Europe. They want to introduce these weapons, first of all, in the so-called border countries up to Russia, that is Poland, Estland, Letland, Lithuania, Ukraine, of course, especially Ukraine and Poland. They are basic tools in the American strategy that has the purpose of provoking Russia and starting a European arms race where Russia, they put more middle distance rockets and Americans put more middle distance rockets in the countries I've just mentioned. And sometime, I can't say when, but suddenly some kind of mistake will happen and the Third World War is on and Europe will be destroyed and probably a big part of Russia will be destroyed too. But USA will not be destroyed. So they'll be even more the world leader than they are today. Of course they hope to destroy China too, but maybe they believe they can do it by themselves. They want the Russians and the Europeans to fight each other to mutual destruction and common death in Europe and Russia. Then the Americans want to destroy China and they want to stay alone as the leader of the new world after the Third World War. And the Third World War will be an atomic world war. Don't misunderstand that. Well, what is the strategy of the Americans? First, there is this cultural offensive to weaken the American spirit with pornography, LGBT right, gay movements, and all these kind of demoralizing events that will make the Christian culture in Europe even weaker. Second, the Americans, they want to reduce the freedom of speech in Europe. Not at home in USA, but in Europe. In many European countries, for example Denmark, where I'm living, the politicians are saying, now we want to introduce law putting everyone in jail that says something positive about Russia. If any Danish citizen, for example myself, am saying something positive about Putin or Russia or Russian foreign policy, will go to jail. That is not freedom of speech, but the Americans like it because this reduction of freedom of speech is also a reduction in the spirit of defense, because who wants to defend a country where you don't even have the right to say your personal opinion? This is not democracy, this is dictatorship, and that is what the puppet government of Denmark, of Poland, of Estland, Letland, Litauen, of Ukraine and other European states that are remotely controlled by USA has. Well, there is a lot of corruption in many European countries. In Ukraine, it's the worst country at all. But we also have corruption in Denmark. But the corruption in Denmark is totally legal. We don't have any laws against corruption, and Americans can buy every single politician in Denmark just by offering them travels, good jobs, nice friendship, nice social network, parties, and so on and so forth. Well, the Danish politicians, they want to be accepted, and they are very proud every time the Americans, they offer some kind of benefit to them. And that is the way the Americans buy the Danish politicians' opinion. Well, how are they going to destroy Europe? I want to mention a few points that are very important. First of all, the Americans want to force Europe to buy American gas. They want us to say no to Nord Stream 2, that is cheap gas from Russia. The American gas, it costs 50% more than the Russian gas. And we don't even have the infrastructure to transport this gas from the ports to the Atlantic Ocean. and until European countries. That is not possible. So therefore, the only good thing for us when we are talking economy is to have Russian gas, and therefore we want to use Nord Stream 2 and also Nord Stream 1 for transporting this gas. We also want to expand the trade we have with Russia, because Russia is very close to Europe. We want to have a peaceful Europe where we can work together, trade together, talk together, exchange ideas, exchange people within sports, culture, music, and so on and so forth. We don't want to be dependent on USA, but USA wants to make us dependent on them so they can facilitate the coming war. They hope there is a coming war between Russia and Europe. USA wants to have trade sanctions against Russia. That is because they don't want the Europeans to trade with Russia. Because every time we trade with Russia, we are working for peace and prosperity, both for ourselves and for the Russians. And it's much more cheap for us to trade with Russia than to trade with USA, because Russia is so much closer. And then at last, Americans, they want to militarize Europe. They say we need to double our efforts, investment in military, and of course this military, these guns, bombs, rockets, ships, and so on and so forth, they have to be built in USA. So when USA say buy more weapons, they are meaning create jobs in USA. USA believe that Europeans are very, very stupid, especially the small nations, for example Denmark. Danish politicians, they are considered prostitutes, and they are prostitutes, but they are not only normal prostitutes, political prostitutes, they are very stupid prostitutes too, because even a prostitute knows that you have to earn money and buy things the cheapest way, the highest quality, the cheapest place. That is how you got to trade. But the Americans want us, force us to buy everything, including weapons. And of course we need weapons. We can't just disarm, that is not possible. We need weapons, but we want to have the best weapons we can buy for our money. And it is certainly not American weapons. Especially not because America is not our friend. America, USA, is the enemy of Europe. Most Europeans, they don't understand that, because they have seen all these Hollywood movies lying about the Second World War, claiming that USA liberated Europe after Second World War. That is a big fat lie. It was the Russians who liberated Europe after Second World War, also Denmark. But most Europeans, they don't know anything about history. They only know American movies, and that is the ideological side of the American cultural imperialism. That is the basic of the economic and military imperialism that America is trying to force upon Europe and, in a wider perspective, the whole world. Because the American future is America only, everything else is poor or destroyed. You know, America, they have killed around 20 million people. Well, this was not a number I just invented. There has been a big research project, you can find it on the internet, calculating how many people in foreign countries has the American killed by bombing since Second World War. And the number is very close to 20 million. 20 million. Well, this was not wars, because most of these people are killed in nations that had no ability of defending themselves against very advanced American fighter jets, bombs, and military. So this is pure mass murder, is genocide made by the American imperialism, with the only purpose of creating a world where there is only one superpower, and that is USA. Everywhere else in USA, we have to choose if we want to be colonized by USA, just like my own country Denmark is, or if we want to be free and independent countries, like a lot of other countries, also in Europe, wants. And you have to decide yourself, do you want to be a prostitute, or do you want to be a real human being? Your relationship to the American imperialism and militarism will give yourself and all of us the answer. Thank you for listening.